दरबार साहब के पास चलते हैं। स्वागत है आपका। नमस्कार।
Namaskar, Hari Om.
हरिओम।
Being a student and a practitioner of English literature, modern management, and spirituality, my endeavor and effort has been to give a practical perspective that is very much useful to the public, and also, of course, first to myself. And this opportunity of this seeking the enlightenment is a great opportunity for me as well, as I have said several times. Having said that, coming to the introduction of the chapter 11, 11 is the एकादशी। एकादशी का महत्व बहुत है हमारे सनातन में, and ये बहुत पवित्र माना जाता है, and probably that is the reason it is being placed as the 11th अध्याय, एकादशी। In fact, the Bhagavad Gita has been revealed on the day of Ekadashi day, the Gita Jayanti, Margasirsha Ekadashi. That day it was been revealed. In that sense, probably that. And many people have doubt, and then some of them have asked me also in the earlier different occasions that normally the revelation has to happen विश्वरूप, जो भी पिक्चर में हम देखते हैं, एंड हमारे यहाँ जो भी मैथोलॉजिकल पिक्चर्स होते हैं, जो एन.टी. रामाराव used to portray a phenomenal role of Lord Krishna. The last scene, the climax used to be the Vishwarupa Sandarshana. So that should be the climax. Then why is that Bhagavan has chosen to make it as a in between only at the 11th chapter? Why has he revealed his Virat Rupa? So that was a question which was asked, and then it was an interesting question. It could have been, that should have been the climax, but after that again still there are 7 chapters which are there. So for that we need to understand a deeper. When I am looking at it as a management person and as a rational, as a scientific and a systematic way of looking at it with an attitude, मेरे को ये महसूस हुआ या मालूम हुआ है कि, and that's what I am trying to share when I was studying this particular chapter as the introduction. What should I share as a management person? First is actually the human psychology is to believe that whatever we are very good at, we may think that very confident, and sometimes overconfident, and sometimes arrogant also. And Arjuna also being hailed as the greatest warrior, Sabyasachi, and ambidextrous and all that. So he also had that kind of overconfidence about himself. And as human beings, because that is the Vishwa Rupa, that is the way of the world, that is the nature of the world. Vishwa ka Rupa. Vishwa is got all Charachara and Stavara Jangama, all that inclusive, encompassing, the Virat Rupa, the entire thing. So we as human beings are also tend to we are prone to such biases and such preferences about ourselves. So we may think, and especially when Arjuna kind of a universal warrior, how much confidence and overconfidence and arrogance he should have, and he has expressed that also during Mahabharata on several occasions. And he is addressing such a disciple, the Lord is addressing. So that we need to understand as human also. Till such a time we get to something better than us, much greater and better than us, we may tend to think that we are the greatest in whatever talent or knowledge that we possess. It is a normal attitude. For example, Kupa Manduka. That is an example which is typically given. जो मंडूक, the frog in the well, the कूप मंडूक जो होता है, वो यही मानने लगता है कि वही विराट स्वरूप है, वही विश्वरूप है. That well, जो कूप जो होता है, वही, that is the universe. That's what it used to think. जो कूप मंडूक, जो मंडूक को कूप से बाहर लाके दुनिया दिखाते हैं, तो जब देन उसको अवगत होता है कि अरे भैया इतना विराट विश्व है, वो अभी तक मैं जाना नहीं हूँ, मैं कूप में बैठ गए, यही दुनिया समझती थी मैं. Like that the frog used to think. तो that कूप मंडूक से बाहर आने के लिए विराट स्वरूप को जानने की बहुत जरूरत होती है. And in our own limited wells, we think that we are we are well enough. That is the figure of speech. In that well, we may think that we are well enough, great enough. To bring that kind of an arrogance to the humility, it is important to demonstrate भैया हमसे भी ज्यादा आपसे भी ज्यादा बहुत कुछ है. Once you look at it, you will know what kind of a small speck that you are, and that gives you the humility and readiness to learn the further knowledge. And hence, and also as other speakers have already, spoken, in order to practically prove it is just not enough to have a theoretical knowledge. We need to have a demonstrated witness because people tend to ask the cow. That's why it is also shown that, okay, now I am proving that this is what it is. This is omnipresence, omnipotence, almighty, that energy, that force. That ye jano. So once you know that, and there are three ways of looking at it. Now, as a management person, to relate it to the management, there is a great management scholar and a scientist called Kurt Lewin. Kurt Lewin has contributed a lot to the management, like action research and things like that. But that's not relevant now. Kurt Lewin talked about any transformative change in organizations or human behavior, in organization behavior. Kurt Lewin is a big name in management science and art. So Kurt Lewin talks about there is something called unfreeze, change, and then refreeze. These are the three models he talked about, and it is world famous. All universities in the world they teach Kurt Lewin about the transformational change. Here also the change is happening in the form of a Nara Arjuna, and through Arjuna to the people. So the first, and Bhagavad Gita is also divided into incidentally three, 6 chapters each. The Jnana Bhakti and then Karma Yoga. So three chapters, each the set of 6 chapters seems to be, the first 6 seems to be the unlearning that needs to happen. And the second one is the change, and then the third one is the relearning. When ice cube has to be changed, it has to be, once it is in the form of a cube, and that has to be brought into a water, and then you put it into a mold, that in whichever mold that you want, and then that water again then refreeze it, then it takes the shape of an icicle or whichever form that you want. The same analogy is used by Kurt Lewin in management, in behavior change, and then transformational changing process. Here also, I am trying to relate it with practical management knowledge with the theoretical, not Bhagavad Gita, spiritual knowledge. Here also the first 6 is the preparedness. And here in the next episode, we will know that Arjuna started by saying that, moha vidataha, that's what he said in the mohoyam vigato mama. So that delusion, I am devoid of the delusion, that ignorance. So that unlearning has to happen first. Whatever, hang-ups and then attitude biases that we have, paradigms, that we need to unlearn. Then we have to learn the sahi knowledge, right knowledge, gain the correct knowledge. First, to removal of ignorance. Second is gain true knowledge. The third one is to understand and then apply. To gain the true knowledge, we need to have a knowledge which is the anubhava yukta jnanam vijnanam, as Adi Shankara, like Jasab has said. So that anubhava, that experience is only comes through witnessing the empirical evidence. That's why probably the Lord has chosen as the 11th chapter Vishwarupa Dhandarshana, and he has shown his further glory and the omnipresence, omnipotence, and then the almighty nature of the expanse of the supreme energy and the super consciousness, if not in a male or a female form, because there is no form, or we cannot call it as an entity. It is a non-entity, because Nama, Rupa, Nirguna Parabrahma, Rupa, that is the Vishwarupa. जब तक ये ज्ञान चक्षु की बात होती है, any book, whether it is chemistry or quantum physics or even anything, we can pick it up when we know how to read English with our own eyes. Just by reading and looking at with our own eyes, we may not understand anything. Similarly, Sanskrit language also. ये संस्कृत जानने के लिए संस्कृत जानने की जरूरत है. So that's why that जानना, that जानकारी, that ज्ञान जो अंदर ज्ञान चक्षु से होता है, ये चर्म चक्षु से नहीं होता है. That is why probably दिव्य ज्ञान की, probably नहीं, definitely दिव्य ज्ञान की जरूरत होता है. That is why it is the internal process. So that's how I wanted to bring about the synthetic and the aspect of the introduction of the the 11th chapter. That's how we can understand, then we can go forward. जहाँ तक the समाधि स्थिति की बात जब होती है, so which is under text, it is not even swapna, it is not even sushupti, it is beyond sushupti is the samadhi, but it is difficult because to vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha, that's where we have to get into that, where there is no sakshi, तो साक्षी भी असाक्षी हो जाती है। समाज स्थिति ये आसान बात नहीं है। दैट इज वाई पीपल फेल टू अप्राप्य मनसा सह, दैट्स वाई पीपल फेल टू एक्सप्लेन. When people like you ask and then put in trouble, and it becomes very troublesome for such a esoteric experience. So that cannot be explained in normal words. And secure, and then I would like to hereafter call, instead of secular, I think dharma is secure, because dharma rakshati rakshita. The Sanatan dharma is more secure than secular. Probably if we call it ours is secure, most secure dharma, I think it would be better than calling it any secular or anything like that. If there is time, we can take it up.
नेक्स्ट राउंड में प्रविष्ट हो रहे हैं। इससे पहले